Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Let's continue implementing and developing our Android version of Pocketcode application. In this particular video, we're going to implement the core feature of a project. Basically, the philosophy of core feature is going to be the reusable code that's going to be used throughout the modules of the app. Without further ado, let's jump right in. Click on File, New, and New Module, and choose Android Library. So it's going to be called core. And make sure to use Kotlin DSL as recommended. You're going to encounter this issue. All you have to do is delete these two lines. So here we're not going to sync our projects. Let's add some more. And if you can't see the module here, just go under projects, and we have the core data here. We need to do a couple of changes to this build Gradle.kts for our core module. So for the plugins that we will use here, I'm gonna remove this. I'm gonna add Android library and Kotlin Android. Other libraries or plugins that we have to use is partialize and serialization. We're gonna use this in our models, and we will delete everything from here because we have developed or we have implemented a reusable shared Gradle plugins. So in order to apply the shared Gradle plugins is to do apply shared Gradle plugin, and we got all the needed dependencies from the previous configuration that we have done before. For the dependencies for this project, I'm going to delete this. So let's sync the Gradle file. The first dependency is room database. Other dependency that we need in this project is health for dependency injection and ktor for the client. Because we are dealing with JWT token, we need to secure this token. We need to use again JSON. In order to not hardcode the dispatchers, we need a coroutine test. Let's sync now, switch to Android, and we have the core module. Before moving forward, I would like to come back to this Gradle file, or at build source main, and inside the dependencies helper, I would like to add here a function that's going to define the core module as a dependency or as a library. And we need to add the implementation. And instead of hard coding this, I'm going to create the name of the module. So let's come back to the modules, and we will do here, for example, we'll do const the name of our module, which is basically core. You have to do the same thing as done here in settings. This is the name of our module. In module, gonna do core like this. Add here modules and core. For example, in feature module, let's assume that this Gradle file belongs to feature module. We can do here core. Once you do core here, it means that we are using the core module, and it's gonna import the needed dependencies from core module. So this is very intuitive in my opinion. Here I'm going to define the two layers, domain layer and the data layer. And I'm gonna create another package for utilities. Under domain, we'll have the model. Same thing as we have done, same modules, just in a different language. The most simplest one, which is the image model, data class, unique ID, file name, preview, and original. Product preview model. So ID, title, category, and price. And I would like to add here just a helper function. I'm going to call it price as string. It's going to convert the price to string format. And we can do here Canada percentage. And let's take 2 digits. Variable is going to be price. So the next model, the product. And I would like to define some getters here, or computed properties. So the in stock that we have defined before in the previous part, the quantity should be greater than 0. Again, the same. I didn't use inheritance. It doesn't matter. So if you want to get fancier, you can just use inheritance here. So I'm going to create the wishlist item model. It has the ID as long and product ID and product detail. Let's create the user model, the ID name, so nothing substantial. And another model is going to be for application settings. Let's say that in your application, you want to save some settings. In a real application, it's not going to be restricted to dark mode. You can save here the user preferences I'm going to create here a companion object. It's going to be for default. That's exactly what I wanted to create. This is getting scarier. So basically, this companion object, it's going to be a default app settings. We have done previously the pagination response. So I'm going to add another data class. It's going to be called pagination response model. It's going to be generic T and data of type list. And of course, we have first link, last link, and all the necessary stuff that we have defined previously in the TypeScript. And as you can see here, it's just from TypeScript to Kotlin. So whenever you want to initialize this pagination response, for example, in your view model, we're going to call this empty. If you are curious what is inline and reified. So first of all, basically inline, it's going to pass the body of a function in a call site. So what are the benefits actually? There's faster, and Lambda don't create objects and enables, and we can use with it reified. So whenever we use inline, it's great to use reified. And reified basically keeps the generics type information at runtime. It's going to return pagination response. I think that's all. One last model to go, which is the search pagination response. It's going to have data, as we have done in the TypeScript version. It's going to be last page. So that's all for the domain layer. Now we need to implement the data layer. So the data layer basically is going to have the dependency injection for this particular module. It's going to have the caching strategy that we will do in this application, or the caching, or per se, it's going to have the entities, as well as implementing the mappers from DTOs to model, or from DTOs to entities and to model, and all the needed conversions, and a remote that's going to have the DTO. So I prefer to go to the remote, and so here it's going to be another package. Inside, define another package, DTO, DI, local, and another one, it's going to be for mappers. For the DTOs, I'm just going to write the first one so you can have an overview, and the rest is going to be provided. The first one I'm going to create is image DTO. I want to say this with parcelize and serializable. It has to inherit for parcelable, unique ID. That's all for image DTO. So we have product DTO as normal. It's going to contain list of image DTOs. The products preview, it's going to contain, it's a normal DTO, so nothing substantial here. The user DTO, only thing that we have to specify the serialized name is verified as, because we want to keep this with the definition standards. And wishlist DTO, so product DTO and product detail. And again, serialized name, just for naming conventions. We will need the pagination DTOs. So just for grouping purposes, I'm going to create here a new package. I'm going to call it pagination. So the generic type, it's going to be of type parcelable, parcelize, and here it's going to be parcelable. We have data, pagination links DTO, and the meta data for this pagination. So the pagination links DTO, first, last, and next, and previous link. And for the pagination metadata DTO, it's going to have the current page, last page, and previous page, to and total. Maybe we're not going to use this, but we never know in other projects. Search pagination response, it's going to be very easy. If you do remember, in the previous web version of our application, we have defined two DTOs. First for when we were dealing with login response, and the other one when we were dealing with wishlist response. So I think I'm going to create those DTOs here in the core module. Parcelize and serializable. We will have user and the token. So for the wishlist response DTO value, so the first is going to be in wishlist and wishlist item ID. That's all when it comes to our DTOs. Let's go directly to the local to declare the list of our entities. So I'm going to create the related packages. So the first one is going to be converter. The other one is the DAOs, now the database, entity, and relation. First things first, let's define the entities. The first thing that we want to cache is the products entity. So the entity, it's gonna be called image tables. So the table name, and again, I don't want to hard code this. So inside util, I'm going to create a new file, constants. So I'm going to define here table names that we will need. We'll need products table, wishlist, users, and images, and app settings. Images table. So for the primary key, the image unique ID. Next, we have to define the model ID. The rest is going to be simple, file name, preview, and original. So this is the first entity. Let's go to define the other one, which is the product entity. We would like to cache the detailed products. Just for simplicity purposes, I'm going to cache only the product detail. In other words, when the user is going to navigate to the product detail page, in this particular moment, we will cache the data, product entity. So we have the auto-generated has to be false because we're going to assign the ID from the backend. Instead of int, it has to be long. Let's go to the product, and I'm gonna copy this except for the images. So we have title, category, price and quantity, and description. And for the images, we will be defining the images from the conversion because we're going to from the relationship between the different entities. So between basically the product and the image entity. We're going to define this afterward. Now we have to continue and define the other one, which is for app settings. Since we are using database or room database, let's just centralize everything into room database in order not to use room database plus shared preferences. So for the user entity, for the primary key, it's going to be auto-generate false, name, email, and let's do here token and email verified at. So that's all for our user entity. The last one, which is wishlist item entity. So we have auto-generate false, product ID, and the user ID. That's perfect. That's perfect. Auto-completion is great. I think that's all. Let's go and define the relationship between entities. So under relationship or relation package, the first one is going to be for products with images, and another one user with wishlist, and user with wishlist and products and images. So basically it's going to give us the user and related wishlist for that particular user. And in the wishlist, we're going to list the products, and within the products, we're going to retrieve the related images. And another one, which is wishlist item with products and images. So I think this is all the possible combinations. So the first one is going to be product with images. So for the products one with images, we need to embed it. I think it's done here correctly, but we have a catch here. So from the auto-completion, it's been suggested correctly in my opinion. Just here, instead of product ID, we need to point to model ID. So it is one too many. The other relation, user with wishlist. Let's see what's going to happen here. I think it's correct. So the embedded, it's going to be user entity, and it's one too many. The parent column is going to be ID, and entity column is going to be ID. So user ID. So it's correct. The less complicated one, which is wishlist with products and images. The embedded object is going to be wishlist item entity. Let's see the suggestion. All right, the suggestion is correct, except for the products with images can be nullable. The relationship, it's going to be nested relationship. The entity in question is product entity. For the parent column, it's going to be product ID, and the entity column is going to be ID. In the wishlist item, we're going to retrieve the products with images as we have defined before, and it has to be nullable here. So instead of calling it products, I'm going to do here products with images. It's more readable. I think it is the 3 deep relationship. User with wishlist and products and images. So I don't know if the autocomplete is going to do it. Let's go. Oh, I think because it's too complicated. First of all, going to do the embedded. We need the user entity. Now let's define the nested relationship. So relation, the entity, it's going to be wishlist entity, and the parent column is going to be ID, and the entity column is going to be user ID, and the wishlist, I'm going to call it wishlist. It will be list of wishlist item with products and images. Basically, this is the data that we want, but we need to access to define this relationship. This is the definition of this relationship. And within this relationship, we have another relationship, which is between the products and the image. There is another relationship, the current one, the products with images. That's about it for the relation. Now we need to define the mappers. So for the mappers, I'm going to explain just one, and the rest it's going to be provided for this tutorial because it falls to the same principle. So the first one is going to be just a file because there are going to be extension functions. So products mapper, products with images, an extension on products with images. Let's call it to products, and it has to give us the model products. So it will return products. All right, for the images, we need to define here another mapping function to image that we will define later on. I think it's a good idea to do the image first because it doesn't need other necessary relationship. Image mapper, the image entity to image, it will return an image model. From the image to image entity, it's going to be used whenever we try to save some data from model to the entity, and it will return. In here we have model ID, and we have to provide here in parameter the model ID. The third one is going to be from the image DTO to the image entity. The last one, which is from image DTO to image model. So that's pretty much it. Let's use this in the mapper to image. So here it's not images, it's called media. From the products model to products entity, it's going to return products entity. So I have provided here from the DTO to the entity, and from the preview to the preview model, and from the DTO to the product. I think it's pretty straightforward. It doesn't need explanation. Now we need the mappers for the app settings, which is very simple. So the first one is going to be from the entity to the model, and from the model to the settings whenever we want to save new data. So for the ID, we're going to start with whatever you want actually, from 0 or 1. I prefer to start from 0. So app settings entity and is dark mode. Well, now let's do the user mapper. The first one is from the user with wishlist to user. So we have the ID, name, and email, and we're going to do email verified at. It's going to be user and the email verified at. For the wishlist, we need here to pass another function that's going to be for mapping the wishlist. So it's going to be called to wishlist item. We will define it later on. And let's go ahead and create a new file for wishlist mapper. So from the entity to the model to wishlist item, it's going to give us a model. We would like to have here products ID and product detail. In this case, it's going to be null. We're not interested in product detail. Let's come back to the user mapper. Wishlist item with products and images. User with wishlist and products images. We need to define another function that's going to be to wishlist item. So under wishlist item mapper, so it's going to be from wishlist item with products and images. It has to return, in this case, wishlist item. The ID and products ID and product detail if it's available. So under user mapper, now from DTO to the user entity, we need to provide the ID and email verified at to convert from the string to date. So inside we need to write another function in util that's going to convert from string to date. I'm going to create here a new file. It will be called helper. I'm going to make it an extension function on string to date time. It has to return date. It's going to take in parameter a pattern to format the date to make it reusable. So in here it's going to be Zulu. You have to create a formatter. So if I do remember, you have to do here simple date formatter or simple date format pattern and locale. Perhaps I'm going to do Canada. Return formatter that's parse. So this is the string that we are referring to. And if it's null, we'll throw an exception. All right, let's say, for example, enable to parse the current date. This is our function. Let's come back to the user mapper. Email verified at, and we have to apply to date time. It's going to be here, date. And we have to provide token. So we have to pass here the secured token. And of course, we're going to secure the token using the crypto service that we will create. The last one is going to be the DTO to the user model. And for the email verified at, it will be email verified at and to datetime. Wishlist and the map to wishlist item. And let's see what is the type of this. It's a wishlist item DTO. So we have to create another mapper for the DTO to return a model. Let's come back to the user model or user mapper, and we are done. So under wishlist item mapper, we need to add some more. Now for DTO to the wishlist model. As a side note here, I would like to do here nullable for the wishlist item entity. And I have added a couple more mappers here from wishlist item to wishlist item entity. And this from the wishlist item with products we have defined before. And from the wishlist item DTO to the entity, and from the DTO to the model. So this is all the possible combinations. So we are done with the mapper. So I think we're gonna stop here. In the next tutorial, we will finish implementing the core module. I hope you liked the video. See you in the next one, and happy coding.